In this walkthrough we're going to be creating this dog shifting gear. So this gear is, if you look at it, it's symmetrical about a line about here we can see on the cross section. So what I'm going to do in modeling this is I'm only going to model one half of it, and then we can mirror it about that line and we'll have the entire part. So now the first thing I'm going to create in SolidWorks is half of this disc. So I'm going to create half of this. So looking at our drawing, we can see that the overall diameter of that is 2 times the radius. So 2 times 0.56, which is 1.12 inches. So we'll go to SolidWorks and we'll create a new part. Create an extruded boss base on the top plane. Create a circle and use the Smart Dimension tool to dimension it to 1.12 inches. And now if we look at it, there's also this hole here that goes all the way through the part, and we can see here that it's a 0.375 inch diameter hole. So we'll go over to SolidWorks, create a circle in the center, and set that to 0.375 inches, 3/8 of an inch. Now we can go to extruded boss base. So to know how far we need to extrude this, we'll look at our drawing. We can see that the total thickness of the center disc is 0.170. So to find the thickness of half of it, we can simply go to SolidWorks and divide in SolidWorks 0.170 divide by 2 and get 0.085. Then we click the check mark and we have half of our center disc. So now looking at our drawing, we need to start creating these ridges. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to create one ridge, I'm going to create this ridge, and then I'm going to use a circular pattern to pattern it 2 times. So I'm going to go to SolidWorks and create an extruded boss base feature on the top plane. I can go over here to view orientation normal 2 so that we're viewing it directly from the top, and I'm going to create 2 lines from the origin to the edge of the circle. I can double click to unselect the current line, so 2 in a pie shape. And now I'm going to use a center line from the circle, from the center of the circle out to the edge of the circle, and keep that perfectly flat. So I could see that this is black because SolidWorks automatically added a horizontal relation. So now looking at our drawing, we can see that the angle of this is 52 degrees for the total. So because of that, we know that the angle from here to here is half of 56. And it's the same on the other side. So now to extrude this, we need to close the shape, because right now we just have this open pie. So to close the shape, we're going to convert some of the entities from the circle we have previously. So I'm going to select the 2 edges of the circle, don't select the face, and then click this button up here called Convert Entities. Now they turn to a darker black and they're now part of this sketch. And now just to make it nicer, I'm going to trim away the parts I don't need using the Trim Entities tool on the Trim to Closest setting. I'm just going to click here and it's going to get rid of the parts I don't need. Okay, so now I can go to Features, Extruded Boss Base, and in Selected Contours I'm going to select these 2 contours. Now if we go to our sketch, we can see that the thickness of each is 0.140. So when we go over to extrude, we'll just type in 0.140. So now we can see we have the base profile for our ridges. Now if we look at our drawing, we can see that, let me clear it up real quick. So now if we look at our drawing, we can see that the edge of these here has a fillet of radius 0.06 inches. So I'll go into SolidWorks and add in that fillet. Now that we've created our disk with one ridge, we're ready to circular pattern two more ridges on. We can conclude that they're evenly spaced because the spacings between the three ridges are the same and the sizes of the ridges are the same. Therefore, we can go into SOLIDWORKS and use the circular pattern tool with the evenly spaced option. So under linear pattern, click circular pattern, and now under pattern axis we need some sort of circle for SOLIDWORKS to base the circular pattern on. So we'll click this inner ring here. And now under features to pattern, we'll click the drop down here and we'll select the extrude and the fillet because those are the features that make up the ridge. And now we'll keep the equal spacing box checked and increase the number of instances to 3. When we click the check mark, we can see that SOLIDWORKS has created our ridges. Now, to create the entire part, we can mirror all this around this face. So to do that, click on Mirror, click on the face for Mirror Face Plane, and then for Features to Mirror, under this feature tree drop down, select all your features, because you want to mirror everything you've done thus far. So after we've selected all our features, we can click the check box, and we can see that SOLIDWORKS has created all our features. Now we can see that our dog ear is completely done except for this hole that goes through. Now that we've created the profile of our piece, we need to create this hole that goes through. So we can divide the hole into two parts, the tapped section with a 348 tap and the untapped section, which is a through hole with a counter bore. So we'll start on the tapped section. So we'll go to SOLIDWORKS and make sure the right plane is shown. If it's not, right click it and click the eyeglasses to show it. And now we need to create a reference plane to put our hole on. So we'll click on Reference Geometry, Plane, then click Parallel Plane at Point. Select the right plane that you've shown. Now we're going to click the center point of this face, so just click around. It might take you a minute to get it. Then click check, and we have a plane right there. So now on our plane, we're going to create a sketch. So click on the plane and click sketch, and now go over to view orientation, normal to, and I'm just going to switch it around. And now we're going to create a center line that's going to be the diagonal across this little face here. So we'll create that. And now we'll exit our sketch. Now that you've created your sketch, select the plane you created, be sure you do that, and then click Hole Wizard. So now make sure you select Tapped Hole, 348, ANSI inch, and then under End Condition we're going to select Up to Next, because we're going to go up to the next surface the hole will encounter. Then under Positions, you can see it's already created this hole, so we'll click on the hole, and then click on the line we created and select midpoint. So now it's at the center, and now we can click check, and it's created our hole. Now that we've created the tapped section of the hole, we'll create the untapped section of the hole. So this section has a counter bore here, and then just a through hole. So to do this, we need to create another plane on which to base this hole. So we'll once again go to Reference Geometry Plane, Parallel Plane at Point, click the right plane, and then we'll click on a point there. So now once again we'll create a sketch, so we'll go to Sketch, center line, and we'll adjust the view to make it normal too. And using the center line tool, we'll draw a diagonal from one corner of this center disk to the other. And we'll exit the sketch. And now, clicking on the plane we just created, we'll select the Hole Wizard, and this time we'll select counter bore. So because it specifies on the sheet, we'll just go to Show Custom Sizing. So the diameter of the hole is 0.11, and the diameter of the counterbore is 0.19. Finally, the depth of the counterbore is 0.11 inches. Now, we can go to Positions and click somewhere on our plane. And now we'll click on the line we created, select Midpoint, and going back to Type, for end condition of this hole, we'll once again click Up to Surface. Or not Up to Surface, Up to Next. Now we can see that SOLIDWORKS has calculated the hole as it should be. We can click the check mark and it's created the hole exactly as it's shown on the drawing.